The Gathering Storm. America's self-inflicted trouble in Ukraine aggravates our dangerous troubles at home. This is by Douglas McGregor via American Conservative on Zero Hedge. The crisis of American national power has begun. America's economy is tipping over, and Western financial markets are quietly panicking, imperiled by rising interest rates. Mortgage-backed securities and U.S. treasuries are losing their value. The market's proverbial vibes, feelings, emotions, beliefs, and psychological penchants suggest a dark turn is underway inside the American economy. American national power is measured as much by American military capability as by economic potential and performance. The growing realization that American and European military-industrial capacity cannot keep up with Ukrainian demands for ammunition and equipment is an ominous signal to send during a proxy war that Washington insists its Ukrainian surrogate is winning. Russian economy of force operations in southern Ukraine appear to have been successfully ground down, attacking Ukrainian forces with a minimal expenditure of Russian lives and resources, while Russia's implementation of attrition warfare worked brilliantly. Russia mobilized its reserves of men and equipment to field a force that is several magnitudes larger and significantly more lethal than it was a year ago. Russia's massive arsenal of artillery systems include rockets, missiles, and drones linked to overhead surveillance platforms, converted Ukrainian soldiers fighting to retain the northern edge of the Donbass into pop-up targets. How many Ukrainian soldiers died is unknown, but one recent estimate ranges between 150 to 200,000. Others estimate 250,000. Given the glaring weakness of NATO members' ground, air, and air defense forces, an unwanted war with Russia could easily bring hundreds of thousands of Russian troops to the Polish border, NATO's eastern frontier. This is not an outcome Washington promised its European allies, but it is now a real possibility. In contrast to the Soviet Union's ham-fisted and ideologically driven foreign policy making and execution, contemporary Russia has skillfully cultivated support for its cause in Latin America, Africa, the Middle East, and South Asia. In fact, the fact that the West's economic sanctions damaged the U.S. and European economies while turning the Russian ruble into one of the international system's strongest currencies has hardly enhanced Washington's global standing. Biden's policy of forcibly pushing NATO to Russia's border forged a strong commonality of security and trade interest between Moscow and Beijing. Russia and China are closer because of this. That is attracting strategic partners in South Asia like India and partners like Brazil and Latin America. The global economic implications for the emerging Russo-Chinese axis and their planned industrial revolution for some 3.9 billion people in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization are profound. In other words, half the world's population is behind them. In sum, Washington's military strategy to weaken, isolate, or even destroy Russia is a colossal failure, and the failure puts Washington's proxy war with Russia on a truly dangerous path. To press on, undeterred in the face of Ukraine's descent into oblivion, ignore three metasizing threats. 1. Persistently high inflation and rising interest rates that signal economic weakness. The first American bank failure since 2020 is a reminder of U.S. financial fragility. 2. The threat of stability and prosperity inside European societies, already reeling from several waves of unwanted refugees, migrants. 3. The threat of a wider European war. Inside presidential administrations, there are always competing factions urging the president to adopt a particular course of action. Observers on the outside seldom know with certainty which faction exerts the most influence. But there are figures in the Biden administration seeking an off-ramp from involvement in Ukraine. Even Secretary of State Antony Blinken, a rabid supporter of the proxy war with Moscow, recognizes that Ukrainian President Zelensky's demand that the West help him recapture Crimea is a red line for Putin, and that might lead to a dramatic escalation from Russia. Backing down from the Biden administration's malignant and asinine demands for humiliating Russian withdrawal from eastern Ukraine before peace talks can convene is a step Washington refuses to take. Yet it must be taken. The higher interest rates rise, and the more Washington spends at home and abroad to prosecute the war in Ukraine, the closer American society moves towards internal political and social turmoil. These are dangerous conditions for any republic. From all the wreckage and confusion of the last 2 years, there emerges one undeniable truth. Most Americans are right to be distrustful of and dissatisfied with their government. President Biden comes across as a cardboard cutout and stand-in for ideological fanatics in his administration, people that see executive power as a means to silence political opposition and retain permanent control of the federal government. Americans are not fools. They know that members of Congress flagrantly trade stocks based on insider information, creating conflicts of interest that would land most citizens in jail. They also know that since 1965, Washington led them into a series of failed military interventions that severely weakened American political, economic, and military power. Far too many Americans believe they have had no real national leadership since January 21st, 2021. It is high time that Biden administration found an off-ramp designed to extricate Washington, D.C. from its proxy Ukrainian war against Russia. It will not be easy. Liberal internationalism, or in its modern guise, moralizing globalism, makes prudent diplomacy arduous, but now is the time. In Eastern Europe, the spring rains present both Russian and Ukrainian ground forces with a sea of mud that severely impedes movement, but the Russian High Command is preparing to ensure that when the ground dries and Russian ground forces attack, the operations will achieve an unambiguous decision, making it clear that Washington and its supporters have no chance to rescue the dying regime of Ukraine. From then on, negotiations will be extremely difficult, if not impossible. And this is on Zero Hedge by Tyler Durden, authored by Douglas McGregor via the American Conservative. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box.